I was 17 years old, sitting in a classroom in Seoul. Just 2 weeks beforehand, I'd been on the other side of the globe, all the way in Brazil. Now, I was in a country I'd never visited, an entire continent I'd never even stepped foot on, surrounded by people I didn't know, in a school where I'd barely found the bathroom. The teacher finished explaining something. She looked around the room and asked, "Any questions?" Silence. Not shuffling, not whispering. Complete, settled silence. Like the kind that follows something obvious. I had no idea what had just been explained, but everyone else looked calm and focused, like they'd heard this at least 1,000 times before. So I did what felt obvious to me. I stayed quiet as well. I figured it was just me. I figured that this moment had just proved what I'd been quietly dreading the whole time, that these people were just wired differently from me. And chances are, you've probably felt this before in your life. Not necessarily in Seoul, but maybe in a meeting, a class, or just a conversation with friends where everyone seemed to understand something that you just couldn't quite grasp properly. And so you stayed quiet, because quiet rooms seem quiet for a reason. And you could just brush that off as the fear of looking dumb, but that's not the case. The fear of looking dumb is about your ego. What I'm talking about is something more specific. You're reading the room, seeing silence, and concluding that everyone else understands. You're making an inference on what people privately think based on what they publicly do. And this has a name. It's called pluralistic ignorance. Pluralistic is relating to society, and ignorance is the lack of knowledge. The name was first given by psychologists Allport and Katz, but it was later on, decades later, in 1993, proven in a real-life situation by psychologists Prentice and Miller. They conducted an investigation at Princeton University. They interviewed the students on the drinking culture. The large majority showed discomfort about it, but those same students truly believed that their peers were fine with the drinking culture. So they just went along with it. And in going along with it, they reinforced it. That's the loop. Every time someone stays quiet because they believe that everyone else understands or is fine or agrees, they're adding a layer to this illusion. And the worst part is that it's not even because anyone agrees. It's just because no one wants to be the first to say that they don't. Now here's the thing about me. I really enjoy talking. Not in class, clearly, but just in general. And it's something that's come natural to me. So when I came to school, I started talking to these people, not about class, but just the type of icebreaker questions you'd ask. What did you do this weekend? What are your hobbies? Those kinds of questions. And so 2 weeks later, one of these kids that I actually got to know, one of the same kids who I thought had it all figured out from the beginning, he leaned over to me in history class and he asked me a question. Not the type of question you ask to impress anyone, just a historical name or one of the dates from the books we'd read. And I knew the answer, so I told him. He looked back at his notes, nodded, and that was it. But I sat there for a moment. This one person who had felt unreachable to me since day one had a gap in their knowledge, and I managed to fill it. This was when I noticed these people weren't complete geniuses. There wasn't any type of secret fluency running through the school that I'd somehow missed. These same people who felt unreachable to me were sitting in the same confusion I was, making the same assumptions I was, by looking at the person next to them and thinking they had it all figured out. The room wasn't quiet because everyone understood. It was quiet because everyone was waiting for someone to speak first. Here's what I want to leave you with. If you're a teacher, the silence after you speak from your students doesn't mean they understand. Invite them to ask questions. Parents, if your kid's quiet, it might not mean everything's okay. They might think the room's quiet because quiet rooms feel like they're meant to be quiet. So ask them questions. And kids, you take action too. I want you to speak up for everyone else, because whoever you are, the person who finally speaks isn't just helping themselves. They're breaking an illusion that every single person in that room is accidentally maintaining. So break it. Thank you.